Good morning, welcome everybody. This is a workshop about VMOSA, the vision, mission, objective, strategy, and action model that you can use to help define your brand. Now that can be a personal brand, that can be an organizational brand, it can be a company brand. Before we get started talking about VMOSA, I am Tracy King. I am a designer at Designer Rule LLC. Designer Rule is the sponsor for this workshop. Designer Rule's mission is to create graphics for personal usage, for business usage, for organizational usage. And one of the things that Designer Rule has noticed is that clients will often approach Designer Rule without a very well-defined brand. But they're already ready to start making items like a logo or a business card to promote their brand, but they haven't really done the work to define the brand. And so we realized at Designer Rule that there might be some misconceptions about what a brand is. And so we're offering this workshop free of charge to community members to help you all define your brand before you start approaching a designer about creating the brand items. So I am one of the designers at Designer Rule. How we will spend our time today. So it is a 4-hour workshop, as you know. This is a breakdown of what the hours will look like. So right now we're doing our opening. We'll take about 10 minutes to do that. Then we'll go right into talking about what a brand is and what a brand is not. Then we will start the VMOSA method, which is the vision and the mission and the objectives and the strategy and the action plan. You will actually work through creating those items. You'll have 20 minutes to prepare a small presentation. You will be presented with an outline for that and a little PowerPoint, so really you'll just have to fill in the information that you've created earlier in the day. And then we'll present those presentations at the end so everybody can see the work that you created today. And then we'll have some closing activities. You will notice that there is a 5-minute break after each hour so that you can stretch your legs if need be. And a little housekeeping, you may have noticed when you walked in the door that we had the Wi-Fi information up in the upper top corner. If you have a laptop and you want to work on your laptop, you can use the Wi-Fi network for the library. The name is Noble, the username is guest, and the password is 1234. So that's the information that you need if you haven't already logged into the Wi-Fi. The other thing is that bathrooms are located, we're on the 2nd floor. There's a bathroom down the hall on the right. There's also a bathroom on the 1st floor near the middle of the hallway. We, again, will have 3 breaks. They'll be 5 minutes long. They'll be at the end of each hour. I'll announce that. You'll also notice that there's snacks in the room. This is a very casual atmosphere, so if you need a snack, feel free to get it whenever you need it. If you need to go to the restroom, feel free to go whenever you need it. There's no need to ask permission for those things. Any questions about any of the housekeeping? Any issues or concerns that haven't been addressed? No? Okay. All right, so I've introduced myself to you. I'd like for you all to take a little time to introduce yourself to the other participants in the room and to me. Just a short, brief introduction, telling us who you are, telling us what attracted you to enrolling in this workshop, and what would you like to gain out of this workshop?
My name is Frida. I'm actually here because my boss made me come. I'm hoping to make it through the 4 hours to begin with. And I would like to get some insight on finalizing what I think my brand is or could be.
I'm Catherine. I just want to learn a little bit more about how to develop my own brand and hopefully get insight into that.
Great. Just real quick, Frida, so you said your boss made you come. So what made your boss think this would be beneficial?
I have no idea, but I assume my boss thought, well, one, we could use it in our promotional package, but 2, it's about development. And even in our classrooms and the things that we do, we need to have a clear start, middle, and finish. So even if it gets us on the track of starting and thinking about a start, a middle, and a finish, and clearly defining what we're trying to do in our classrooms, I think that even the brand for our classrooms would help taking the class.
Great insight there. So brands can apply to a lot of different things, even a classroom, because there is an idea of the value in the brand, and actually that's one of the key things we're going to talk about today is the value. So a classroom can have classroom values. So it's not necessarily large organizations or large businesses. It can be as small as a classroom and setting the value and the brand for the classroom during the week. Great, thank you for that. So now that we're done with the introductions, let's start talking a little bit more about what our objectives are for today. So I gave you a quick overview when we talked about the agenda, but this is what you're specifically going to do. So you will orally state 3 to 5 vision statements. You will write a 2 to 4 sentence mission statement. You will write 3 to 5 task objectives for the mission statement. You will list 3 to 5 resources for objective tasks, which can be used to complete the task. And then you will complete an action plan for at least one of the tasks. The action plan can be something that you really can put a lot of effort into. It can be very detailed. For the sake of time, we won't have the opportunity with this training to go into a lot of detail about the action plan. Designer Rule is planning on offering an additional training that focuses just on action plans. So for now, you will get sort of the brief version of how we do an action plan, and that'll be later on at the end of our training today. So the whole purpose, I think most of you guys are here, is to develop your brand. So we're going to have a quick game, the brand game. So you might notice over here on the wall that we have a few sheets of paper. And you may also notice that there are some logos from some popular brands. So what I'd like for you to do is to think about how does a brand you engage with make you think, emote, or act. But before you go to think, act, and feel, the first thing I just want you to do is not even think about anything. Just walk over to the paper and then stand there for a second, and then what comes to mind as you look at this logo, okay?
So write it on the paper?
Yeah, just write it on the paper. So what comes to mind when you look at that? Just whatever.
So we each taking a brand?
You want to go to all 3 pages.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
we're writing on it what we think when we see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to focus on thinking, just whatever comes to mind. Like, this is actually going to be a 2-minute, very quick. So first thing comes to mind, write it down.
The credit card week that had happened like a couple
Mhm.
years ago,
Yeah.
that's all I think about.
Yeah.
Act, it's all about cash with them, because
Okay.
very early.
Right,
Mhm.
They don't have a feel.
right.
Let's see what else. Walmart, I think of the low prices. That's what everyone.
So this is just helping you, this activity, hopefully it's helping you to start thinking what exactly a brand is. And notice, and this is just being pulled from the video said that branding is not a logo, corporate identity, advertising, or marketing. And I added the tangible items because that's a lot of times what we think about is those tangible items like the logo, the corporate identity. The corporate identity can include your logo, it can include your slogan, your business card, and so forth. The advertising, so how you present yourself out into the world, and then the marketing, you combine that advertising with selling a product, that's going to be your marketing. But that's actually not what branding is. All of those things can be a part of your branding process and your branding strategy, but just having those 4 things alone is not brand. What a branding is a set of unique values. So an example could be the word confidence, the word passion, the word belonging, action, security. So where we start when we're creating a brand is with just some simple words that define what your ultimate goal is for your business. So let's address the elephant in the room.
I could use
Mimosa.
one. I could use one.
What might that make you think
I
of?
can use one.
Does that make you think of a lovely beverage?
Yes, Is there one somewhere in here?
Well, no, we don't have any of those beverages in here today, but every time I hear the word mimosa, it definitely makes me think about mimosa, okay? So what I wanted to bring to you all is the concept that mimosas are a very simple recipe, right? When you think about that drink, it's a very simple recipe: orange juice and some champagne, right? That's that. There's some variations of that, but for the most part, if you have those two ingredients, you have a mimosa. So mimosa shares this in common in that it's a simple recipe. So if you follow that VMOSA, you're going to be on the road to developing your brand. This is our recipe. So it is more than 2 ingredients, but it's your vision, your mission, your objectives, your strategy, and your action. The vision is the dream. It's where you want to go. And in your handouts, there is a little section, I didn't point this out earlier, for note taking. So if you want to jot some things down that I'm saying, there is a vision notes section. There's also a brand notes section.
Did we get this slide?
Yeah, and I will share the slide deck with you guys once the presentation is over today. I have everybody's email addresses from your registration, so it will be emailed to you. So the vision is the dream, the mission is the what and the how. So now that you sort of have this dream, how specifically do you get to that? The objectives, or just more detail about that, you may have heard of SMART goals before. SMART goals and SMART objectives are very similar. If you haven't heard of SMART, we will definitely talk about that. It's an acronym. The strategy goes into how even deeper. And then the action plan is the who, the what, and the when. So you might know how, but then you have to figure out who's the person that's going to do this. When is that person going to do this? What exactly is it that they're doing to get this accomplished, so that people understand what your mission is and what your vision is, okay? So that's our simple recipe. That's what we're going to work through today. And we will start our very first activity, which is talking about the vision. So just to remind you again, it's the dream. And it's the words that describe where you want to be or where you want the organization to be. I know some of you are here for your individual brand, some of you are here for organizational brand. When we talked over here about these different companies, and I asked you to just start writing the words that came to mind, you hopefully were writing the words that they wanted you to think of. Okay, so if their brand is successful, those words you put up there, at some point they did the same thing. They went through and they came up with these words that they want people to think of or feel or act when they're engaging with them. Okay? For you, it might be that your vision is to be a public speaker. If you are working with a nonprofit organization, your vision might be to have improved healthcare for women. If you're a chef, your vision might be to focus specifically on barbecue and to be the best barbecue in the South. Your dream could be to do premium beauty products, okay? It's whatever you want to invest your time and energy in. So the activity that we have for you to start thinking a little bit about this, because we probably have these thoughts in our head all the time, okay? But do you write it down? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, well, this is your opportunity to write it down. So if you turn your handbook to the next page, so we reviewed the agenda, there's a notes page,
Branding notes, vision notes.
there's vision notes page. It should be your 4th page, where it is your vision brainstorm. I think you got a little one, so maybe it's the 3rd page, there you go. So the vision brainstorm, so this is kind of an example, but what you have on your sheet of paper is a grid, okay? And what I want you to do is to think, what is your dream? So that's going to be your guiding question here. And then I'm going to be quiet, and for 3 minutes, we're all just going to be quiet. But what I want you to do is to think about the words that come to mind when you focus your attention. So you'll see on my example here, my dream might be to be a barbecue king, and to be the best, and to be quick, and to have safe practices in the kitchen, and to have a great recipe. These are all, sort of in the clouds, top level things, but as you work through the mimosa recipe, you're gonna start drilling it down to where you're making more specific statements and you're creating those objectives.